Hey guys, so today we are in a 2016 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo. So I think this car looks really good. It's big and masculine. It has that classic Jeep 7-pillar grille, which I think looks really good. It definitely differentiates this car from the rest of the cars in the market. And I think it's a really competitive design just because it gives you this commanding feel, this commanding driving position because you're so high off the ground. And we did the test today, and it does scare people out of the way. It's been proven. I was riding someone's ass, and he just moved out of the way, no questions asked. It definitely has that kind of design. It's more in your face than some other mid-sized SUVs, and I really like that. I really think it differentiates itself, sticks out in the crowd. And what I really liked is that they made the front headlights and the rear taillights a bit more shapely. They're sculpted a bit nicer than they were in the old car. And it really makes this car look better. The old car was a bit too it wasn't very angular. It didn't have a whole lot going on design-wise. It was kind of just like a brick on wheels. But this one, I feel like it looks a lot better. It has a lot more styling cues that really bring out the design in the car. And I really like it. It's a good-looking car. It just looks like a Jeep. You're going to look at this car and know it's a Jeep just by looking at it. So let's move on to the powertrain of this Jeep Grand Cherokee. It has the same 3.6-liter Pentastar V6 that they have in the Charger, and most SCA products use that engine in their base cars. And it's a good engine. In this application, it puts out 295 horsepower, and it actually does a pretty good job hauling this beast around. I was a little bit worried at first just because this car weighs so much, but it actually doesn't feel underpowered. It feels perfectly adequate at all times. And it sends its power through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Thank God it's not the 9-speed because that transmission sucks. But this 8-speed, it does a good job. It's really smooth to shift, but I just wish it would downshift quicker. I mean, I'll get on the gas, and it'll be a solid couple seconds until the engine RPMs increase as the transmission downshifts into the gear that I need to get the power I want to pass a car or whatnot. But it does have sport mode, which makes it really easy to just shift gears using the paddle shifters that are mounted behind the steering wheel. They're a little bit laggy, but this isn't a sports car. I think people are mostly going to use that in an off-road application, so that way they can hold the gears they want when they're off-roading. So let's talk about the interior of this car a little bit. So it's a really nice interior. I was very surprised when I first got in this car. You have a soft touch dash, you have stitched leather on the door panels. It's a really nice car. I mean, for a base model, I was very, very surprised by the interior. Yes, it has cloth seats, but it's very quiet, very refined. The dashboard is really nice. You have these kind of rose gold accents around the air vents. You have this really nice faux open pore wood on the dash. I mean, it's fake, but it looks real, and that's all that really matters. And, I mean, these cloth seats are actually really comfortable. They're supportive. I mean, they could have a little bit more lumbar support, but other than that, I really like them a lot. And overall, the interior on this car is just really appealing. It makes itself look more upscale than you would expect from a car in this price point. I mean, this car starts at $30,000, and that's not a lot of money. That's pretty average when you look at the rest of the segment. And I feel like this car provides a whole lot more. Just driving it, you look at the interior, and it's a really nice place to be. So let's talk about some of the equipment in this car. It doesn't have a lot of equipment, but for a base model car, it's really not that bad. So you have your 5-inch Uconnect touchscreen, and like I said in my Charger review, it's so easy to use. Yes, the graphics are a little bit small in this application, but it's really super quick to respond, and I really like it. It's just really easy to figure out what button to press. All the graphics are big, and no one's going to have any problems figuring out how to use it. So let's talk about the instrument cluster. It's kind of interesting how they laid it out. You have your tach on the left, and there's no actual set speedometer. It's all on this screen that's in between your fuel gauge and your tachometer. And it's really interesting how they did it. You can scroll through 1,000,001 pages, but what they do is make sure that the speedo is always there. You can basically change what type of speedo you have. You can have an analog or a digital speedometer, and then you can go through stuff like your Bluetooth, your vehicle settings, all sorts of random crap that you can fool around with. And it's a good system, and it makes the car look a little bit upscale. So let's move on to the driving experience. Steering feel is non-existent. Let's just get that out of the way. It feels like you're turning a dial. It's super easy to use. You hardly have to put any effort in. Like, I can turn it with like my fingernail, like no problems. It's really easy to navigate around town. But on the highway, it doesn't stiffen up enough. You don't really feel like you have a whole lot of connection to the car on the highway. And honestly, that doesn't inspire a whole lot of confidence. I really wish they had made the steering tighten up a bit at higher speeds. But other than that, there's plenty of power, which makes it pretty easy to pass. It's not super powerful, but you're never lacking for power. Like if you need to pass someone, you're gonna have no problem whatsoever. And it's just a really smooth powertrain. It's a very smooth ride. I love the ride in this car. You sit up high, you have a commanding view, and the ride soaks up the bumps really, really well. It's a very compliant ride. It kind of feels like you're on a couch just soaring down the road. Very few bumps are allowed to get into the cabin. And it's just really nice in here. Not gonna lie, it's very, very nice. So, let's talk about the personality of the Jeep. So, one thing I just love about this car, which I think differentiates itself from the rest, is that it has heritage. So, let's think about some competitors. You have the Toyota Highlander, you have like the Kia Sorento. Cars like that, they're not very personable, if you catch my drift with that. They don't have any heritage. This car has heritage. When you drive this car, you look at the steering wheel and it even says since 1941, which kind of pulls it back to like Jeeps from World War II and like all of Jeep's roots. And you gotta get that kind of feeling driving it, that you're driving something special. Even though it's your basic family SUV, it feels a bit more than that just driving it around. You feel like you're in something that can take on the elements. You can go marauding into the forest in your Jeep and like shoot a deer and strap it on the hood and live and all that stuff. You feel a lot manlier driving this car than you would driving any of the competitors just because it's a Jeep. And I think that's its core appeal. I mean, you're not going to buy this car if you're like a soccer mom. You're going to buy this car if you're a dad that doesn't want to get a minivan and still wants to look manly. That's when you're going to buy this thing. And I respect it for that. I really do. It's a good car. It's a viable alternative to a lot of the segment if you're looking for something that's a bit more manly, has a bit of brawn to it. I think it's a really good car, and if you are in the market for a midsize SUV, you certainly shouldn't go without looking at this car. Thanks again for watching, guys.